I'm saying that you're in a position to do something, and you're not doing it. You know what? It's chicken shit. And if you believe it, and you're not saying it, worse than chicken shit.
Well, fine, Carl. If that's how it's gonna be, I'll do it myself. So, 2A for all. The Second Amendment already is for everyone, but American gun culture maybe isn't. And if this is your first foray in, you probably don't have anything yet. So welcome to episode 1. Rose's guide to figuring out what the hell you're going to arm yourself with. So many options to choose from. Maybe you'll find yourself as a rifleman, or maybe more of a pistol girl. Maybe you're not quite like all the others. But before we ask which firearm, we really have to ask why firearm, and why for you specifically. Are you a hunter? Are you looking for self-defense? Are you in it for the fun? Or are you into some paranoid boog shit? We're gonna go over all 4 categories right now. So let's head on inside. Easiest answer first, the category is fun and games. And my only real answer is buy an Xbox. You have no idea how much money I just saved you. Slightly more seriously, if that's not your cup of tea, get yourself a 22. Ideally a pistol, since they'll develop your skills better, and ideally an antique, because they're just so much cooler. And then fully seriously is, there's just too much variation in the huge depths of shooting sports for anyone to tell you what is and is not fun. So just pick what you like most, don't take it too seriously, and you're going to do great. Next up on the list is going to be the people in it for self-defense, which I'm guessing is going to be the majority of the kind of people who would want to watch a video like this. And before we really get too deep into it, I want to address one particular argument first. And that argument is that you should just always get a pump-action shotgun. If anyone breaks in, you don't even gotta shoot them, you just go rack it, and it'll scare anyone off. Tell you what, if you want a long gun, a shotgun's not a terrible option, but leave it loaded and with the safety on, and you'll be fine. Don't rack it like that, because what's going to happen is you're going to find someone's broken into your house, and you're going to go, and then you're going to hear a loud noise, maybe, and just kind of fade to black as you've been shot. The reason being is what you have done is announced your position, your intention to commit violence, and that you're currently not armed yet. Don't do this. Ever. On the modern internet, most people probably recommend some kind of semi-automatic carbine, which is a pretty fine option in your house. It offers a lot of ease of use, a lot of power, a lot of precision, all in one kind of convenient package. Kind of. And that's our main problem. The thing is, if you were a rifleman defending a position, this is ideal. This is perfect. If you're defending your house and moving from room to room, maybe trying to access other people, other things, doors, ways out, keys, phones, all those sorts of necessities, you just really have your hands full. Not to mention the fact that it's too long if you end up in a grappling situation, say if someone breaks into your house wielding this. Thus we enter the wild world of handguns. It's the rifle's special cousin that's worse in every way except that it's willing to hang out with you. There are almost infinite varieties in shapes of pistols, and size of pistols, and brands of pistols, but they all work in pretty much the same way. You have a slide, which is your primary means of interacting with the operating system of the firearm, a trigger, a safety, a magazine of some sort, it goes bang. Therefore, the only 2 metrics you should be really looking at are 1, can you rack it? This is easier on some models than others, and something you really should take a look at if you have poor grip strength. And 2, how much capacity does it have? Because you're going to need as much as you can possibly get. I'm sorry girls, but you really just shouldn't pick for beauty. The revolver isn't it. The answer is really quite simple. It's semi-auto, in the highest capacity you can get your hands on, in the easiest package for you personally to use. Behold, glorious day 2 of filming and a slightly reframing of our set. I want to talk about providing for yourself with firearms, aka hunting. And boy, oh boy, is that a hugely varied topic. More varied than self-defense or anything else, I would say. If there's anyone you're going to meet that's going to have a giant, varied collection of firearms, it's probably going to be an avid hunter. So, what is the general best? What are you going to need? Well, to start off with, what are you hunting? In North America, I generally expect people to be either going for deer, boar, or going after predators, unless they're going after birds, which will be our 4th category at the end. And simplest answer first would just be, what would be the best firearm from a technical standpoint for someone getting into hunting? And for deer or boar or predators, I would say you'd want something much like this. While it's not very traditional, this is your best bet. You need magnified semi-automatic carbine. The reason being is basic hunting ethics. If you wing an animal, you are dooming it to a slow and horrible death. A semi-automatic rifle allows you to make follow-up shots and end the hunt much more effectively. And of course the optics there, because you want to see how badly you're missing up close. However, there are many jurisdictions which will not allow you to take this kind of rifle hunting with you. One issue, some places don't allow rifle calibers, which includes intermediate calibers like this AR. Other places may require shotguns only, or other requirements beyond. In parts of the Northeast, this might be more what a semi-automatic deer hunting rifle looks like to you. This is a Ruger Deerstalker in .44 Magnum, which has not a rifle caliber, instead has a pistol caliber, allows it to be used in places that do not permit semi-automatic or, I believe also manual, rifles. Meanwhile, in parts of the Midwest that are more built up, rifles aren't permitted at all, and instead you're required to use shotguns. Something like this might end up being more your speed. But ammunition constraints and legalities do not end just with classifications and types. There's also the very specific materials your ammunition is made out of. Back when I first started hunting, people were recommending anyone who wanted to get in on the cheap to get something like this. A Soviet M9130. These were available for about $200. You could buy a can, about 500 rounds of ammunition for them, for the same price. This, however, was a terrible mistake for anyone trying to get into hunting. These rifles are not semi-automatic for one, they're not set up to take an optic, they're not very accurate, they're not very smooth, they're heavy, they're long, and none of the ammunition was really legal to hunt with. It was all crappy, lead-based, bimetallic rounds. Unfortunately, most places won't let you use that. Of course, that's the problem with common ammunition you can't hunt with. There is the other problem of having uncommon ammunition you can, such as the downfall of my beloved Remington Model 8 Tetsuko here, who I cannot keep fed despite my best efforts. Don't fall for this trap. If you see a affordable rifle with a great optic, or at least an optic, and one box of ammo for sale at a gun shop for a steeply discounted price, chances are you're not going to find another box of ammo. So what hunting rifle should you get? The answer is yes. Oh wait, there was one other type of hunting that we forgot to talk about. What was it again? Alright.
Dale, apunta a la cabeza, no escape.
Right, birds, yeah, I guess you want a shotgun, I guess. Here's where I have to tell you guys what I am not, and what I am not as a bird hunter or trap guy in any way, shape, or form. This is one of two shotguns I own. They're both in 12 gauge. Most bird hunters, from my understanding, will recommend a 20 or even a 16 gauge. I know that because the 116 gauge I had, I sold to my brother, who is on a one-man campaign to ensure the dinosaurs actually go extinct. Unfortunately, I'm not the person to answer your questions here. Shotgun. Sorry. With that, let's move on to our last category. So, in all seriousness, there's only one weapon I can recommend to you. The idea of fighting a nation-state is suicidal. This doesn't mean it can't be done or shouldn't be done. But the concept of going one for one with a professional soldier as a civilian is ludicrous. The amount of equipment and training, the time and effort it requires to be on the same level as a standard infantryman is a lot. It is too much of a burden for most people to bear, to be perfectly honest. And because of that, anyone who has the money, the time, and frankly the willpower to equip and train themselves to be the equivalent of a infantryman is honestly so well supported by their society that the idea that they should have an adversarial relationship is a little delusional. That said, people do resist. If you're thinking of yourself as some guerrilla fighter, understand what guerrilla warfare means. It means you need numbers. It means you need popular support, because you're going to lose every engagement you will ever fight. Every single time you make contact, you will lose people, equipment, everything. The way you win those wars is by fighting on regardless of the losses. And if you're not prepared for that reality, which is you're going to die, and everyone who's fighting with you is going to die, so that a few down the line eventually might grind their way through the slog to some form of victory. That's what you're talking about. I don't think a firearm has any real relevance in the conversation if you're saying, what do I want to do, and what do I need, if my goal is to fight the government. And I think that'll be the closing thought for episode 1. Happy 2025, everyone, and remember, the Second Amendment is every American's heritage.